Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 3 to What If Asta Had the Sharingan. So, in the last part, we went through a lot of the different things, basically just involving like the introduction of the third eye, and they fought and battled Licht. They actually managed to successfully defeat him a little bit sooner than what they did in the original, which meant that Asta could take him back to the Wizard King, and they did a little bit of questioning on him before he was basically taken back by the third eye people, and yeah. So where we actually left off, Asta and some of the other Black Bulls were basically just told to get magic stones, and they went to basically a beach. After getting to the beach, they're messing around for a little bit, but obviously this is where Yami shows up, and he basically punishes them by basically burying them in the sand. Once they get out of the sand, they go and they basically go to the entrance of this underwater temple, and after arriving there, they meet with some of the basically people. They once again meet one of the people that they met on the beach, who was basically singing, I guess. I can't remember her name. Her name is Kahono, I think is what it is. So she and her brother were basically like, they have the dream to go up onto the land and become basically musicians and different things like that. So they meet them once again, and they're like, "Oh, what are you guys doing down here?" And they are basically explained that they live down here and that, you know, things are happening. So they meet with the old man, who's kind of like the elder of everything, and he basically tells them that if they want the magic stone, that they're gonna have to play and beat his basically people in a game, is what he calls it. They accept this obviously, and they go down and they start fighting with the different members of the actual temple. So most of the fights aren't really that climactic, and usually the Black Bulls win their fights pretty easily. It's just towards the end where things actually start getting actually interesting, where the Third Eye's member Veto shows up. He's the Beast Man guy, and he basically looks kind of like a lion, I guess you could say. So he shows up and he begins fighting with the members of the Black Bull squad. And Asta is actually doing a lot better than what he would be in canon, just because he's physically more or just as powerful, maybe slightly less powerful physically than he was before, but it really makes up for it with him when he awakens the Mangekyo, because not only is his physical strength increased to much, much higher than what his normal self would be, but he also gets insane amounts of speed and basically reaction time, as well as he has all of his magic. Well, he obviously doesn't have the freaking sword, but he can still absorb magic. So he begins fighting with Veto, and he absorbs his magic attacks. He doesn't actually get Veto's magic added to his grimoire, but that's just because it isn't something that he can copy, I guess you could say. There's certain things only that he can copy. So he uses his enhanced spell on his Mangekyo Sharingan, and he continues his fight with Veto. They're actually fighting pretty much blow on blow at this point, and yeah. But Asta is losing his stamina a little bit quicker because of the fact that they're physically battling, and that Veto is not basically shooting magic attacks or basically spells at Asta for him to absorb and get stronger with. So with that, Asta is losing his stamina faster, and he's starting to basically lose the fight. Yami would obviously be watching this, but he hasn't been pushed to the point where he would unlock the Dimension Slash, so he doesn't unlock the Dimension Slash just yet. So Asta continues to fight, and he once again enhances his eyes, because I'm just going to say that his enhanced spell has a 5-minute time limit before he'd have to basically redo the enhance. So once he re-enhances his eyes change shape a little bit. They basically just become the same kind of eye, or how do I even put this? They basically just change shape once again, and they become a little bit they basically just become a different pinwheel shape. And Asta notices this, and he notices his basically increased speed, strength, and everything like that once again, and he's wondering exactly what's going on with him. And he continues on battling Veto, and he's actually doing basically just as well as Veto now. His stamina loss is basically made up for when he got stronger. And as he continues the fight, obviously his stamina would still be draining, and he would once again be on the back burners of the fight, and wondering exactly what that power he just had was, and wondering exactly what he just did. He once again re-enhanced his eyes, but this time the eyes still change shape and become what they were before, but he unlocks a new spell. That spell called Ribcage. And obviously you can guess what this is. It's the skeletal, well, not the full skeletal, but it's like the rib cage form of the Susano. So he would activate that, and he'd be like, "Whoa, what is this?" He's wondering exactly what's happening to him, and Veto at this point can't do absolute shit to Asta. Like, he tries to punch him, but he is completely being protected by this, and he can't actually break through it. This is where he gets enraged that he can't really do anything and awakens his third eye. He continues his fight with Asta, and every about 10 or so punches, he does manage to shatter, or at least do a little bit of damage to Asta's ribcage. And Asta keeps basically reactivating the ribcage, but he's losing stamina insanely, like, much quicker than he was before. It, like, physically hurts him to even have the ribcage activated. And so he realizes that he basically has to finish this fight quickly if he wants to have really any chance of winning. So he does exactly that. He once again enhances his eyes, and he uses his entrance spell. It actually works in basically paralyzing him. He then shoots a massive fireball at Veto, dealing pretty decent damage before using his my god, why can't I remember the freaking names of things right now? He then uses his lightning flash spell, paralyzing Veto once again, and then he basically runs up and he's about to deal a massive blow to Veto. And as he's about to punch him, a new spell awakens. It's called Armored Susano, or not Armored Susano. It's called what should I even call it? I'm just gonna call it Skeletal Arms, or Skeleton Plus Arms, or whatever you want to call it. And it basically is just the skeleton, except it adds arms to it. He uses this to his advantage, and he uses the basically skeletal structure to punch Veto. It deals absolutely massive damage, and it actually kills Veto at this time. So, with that dealing such a massive amount of damage, Veto dies. There's no really other way around it. Veto is defeated, and they move on. So Yami, at that point, would have probably awakened his new spell to basically cut out of it, but by the time he would have been able to get down there, Asta would have been able to deal the finishing blow to Veto. So with that, they get the magic stone from the elder of the underwater temple, and they leave. They give it to the Wizard King. He awards them some gold stars, and things go pretty normally from there. So then they go and they look for a cure for Asta's arms, because they would still be like insanely badly damaged due to the curse that basically Veto put on them. So with that, they head off to the witch's forest in search of a cure for it. Obviously, they're still warned about the Witch Queen and how bad her ways and different things like that are, but they decide that they're going to go anyway and risk, bad things happening to them. So as they go there, they basically arrive at the witch's forest. They get in disguise and they basically just pretend to be witches as they fly towards where they're trying to go to. They still end up obviously getting caught by the Witch Queen and everybody else like that, and they begin talking to the Witch Queen. She doesn't really have a reason to basically want Asta as her pawn, because Asta doesn't have the demon inside of him. I'm just saying he doesn't have the demon because it would literally kill him if he had the demon inside of him, because, anti-magic and magic don't exactly go together, as you could guess. Kind of like how when the Wizard King picked up Asta's sword, it was draining his magic power. Asta would literally be killed if he had the anti-magic demon inside of him at this point, just because he has normal magic in this. So, with that, he doesn't have the demon inside of him, and the Witch Queen is basically just like, yeah, sure, I can heal your arms, whatever. And then this also means that the scene where why can't I remember her name ever? Vanessa. So Vanessa doesn't actually end up awakening her like thread of fate spell cat thing, at least not yet. So because Asta didn't go into his black form under the control of the Queen of Witches and end up killing everybody, or attempt to kill everybody, I guess you could say. So everybody's like, okay, and they're about to get ready to leave, but then the queen is like, oh yeah, by the way, there's like armies approaching, so yeah, that's not good. And everybody's like, wait, what are you talking about? So then, obviously, some of the members of the Diamond Kingdom, including like Mars and some of their people, and as well as some of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Yeah, is it the Eye of the Midnight Sun? I don't know. Eye of the Midnight something. They both show up and they're basically about to invade the Queen of Witches, and yeah. So the wars go pretty much the same, with Asta and like Mars's like teacher from the Diamond Kingdom helping them out still, and then Mars would basically change his side and help some of the people that aren't working for the Diamond Kingdom and basically switch sides for a brief moment and basically kill his, I don't remember what that guy's name is. His name is Fonzel. That guy, he's basically like the other he's basically like Mars except different. I guess you could say. So he shows up and he still gets defeated by Mars because Mars switches sides, and Fauna would still like basically regain her senses once she gets saved by Mars, I guess. I think that's how that went at the very least. So things like that, they go pretty normally, and yeah, like there's no things in that exact specific thing that would change all too much, just because Asta is still really fucking overpowered. Like, he didn't even have his, like, Black Asta form at this point, so he's basically, like, at that level at this point. So it's really easy for him to do things. So it really wouldn't be it wouldn't be that difficult for him to pretty easily take down everybody there. So things like that, they happen fairly normally, and the Witch Queen would not try to take over Asta's body at this point, so they kind of just leave and head back to the hideout. Obviously giving a little bit of a briefing to the Wizard King. But that's where I'm going to leave this part off. Again, I'm sorry for the short part, but I have to go to work in about 10 minutes, and I still have to get ready for that, so yeah. Sorry about that, but I'm out of here, Chief. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out. Bye.